Would you like to hear a story? This is a very old folk story called The Most Beautiful Woman in the World. A folk story, you know, is a story that's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Mothers and fathers tell it to their children, and then their children tell it to their children, and those children tell it to their children. This one came, well, originally from Russia, I think, but it doesn't really matter because it could have taken place anywhere, at any time. And this is the way the story goes. Once upon a time, long, long ago, all the people of a certain village were out working in the fields, just as they did every day, when they thought they heard someone crying.
Oh, hey, I think I hear someone crying. You hear that crying?
They looked and looked and looked to find where the crying was coming from.
Hey, where's that crying coming from? Hey, over here. I think it's coming from over here behind this haystack.
Behind a haystack, one of the villagers found a little boy, just crying and crying and crying.
Hey there, little boy. Now stop that crying. No, stop crying.
Okay.
Now tell me, where's your mother?
I don't know.
You don't know where your mother is?
No, I don't.
Oh, then you're lost, is that it?
Yes. Yes, I'm lost.
Okay, no. Stop that crying. Stop that crying, boy. And come out here.
Okay.
Come over here right by me.
Yeah.
Now, we'll find your mother for you.
You will?
Sure we will. Now, you just tell me, what does your mother look like?
My mother?
Yes, what does she look like?
Oh, my mother is the most beautiful woman in the world.
The most beautiful woman in the world,
Oh,
huh?
oh yes.
Well, she shouldn't be too difficult to find, then.
No?
Come on back to the village. I'm sure we can find her.
Okay.
Come on, everybody. Let's find this lad's mother.
Okay. I'm coming.
And that very morning, they gathered all the women in the village together.
Hey, gather out here, everybody. Gather round, everybody.
And they chose the most beautiful woman of all.
Now, listen, we have to choose. Well, how about Sonia?
No.
How about Tanya?
No.
Natasha?
No.
Sonia?
Yeah.
Come on.
And they brought her to the little boy.
Well, you say your mother is very beautiful, hmm?
Oh, yes.
Well, this is the most beautiful woman in our village. Is she your mother?
Oh, no. My mother is more beautiful than that. My mother is the most beautiful woman in the world.
Oh, this is going to be harder than I thought. Well, if the most beautiful woman in our village isn't your mother, we'll just have to try the neighboring villages.
And he sent people to all the villages nearby.
Ivan, take the village to the east. Boris, the village to the west. Misha, to the south.
And in each village, they chose the most beautiful woman of all and brought her back to the lost little boy.
There you go, lad. Now, this is the most beautiful woman from the village to the north of us. Is this your mother?
No, my mother is more beautiful than that. My mother is the most beautiful woman in the world.
Okay, I know. Next. All right, here's the most beautiful woman from the village to the south of us. Is this your mother?
No, my mother is much more beautiful than that. My mother is the most beautiful woman in the world.
I know.
And the same thing happened with every beautiful woman that they found. And so they kept traveling to more and more villages and towns in search of the boy's beautiful mother. Now, they brought the most beautiful women in the kingdom from hundreds of miles away. And every time the boy just took one look and started to cry again and said,
No, that is not my mother.
My mother is the most beautiful woman in the world. We can't do this.
As you can imagine, they were just about ready to give up because, well, the most beautiful women in all the land had been found and brought to the little boy, and none of them was his mother.
I just don't know what to do. Where can this boy's beautiful mother be hiding? I don't know where to look next.
And just then, an old woman came pushing through the crowd. Her hands were rough and calloused, and and her shoulders bent from working many years in the fields. Her clothes were not much more than rags, and her eyes had dark circles and were red from crying. She looked very, very tired and worried.
Mother!
Oh, son.
Oh,
Is it really you?
yes.
Oh, I've been looking and looking. I've been so worried. Oh,
You don't mean to tell me that this is your mother?
Yes. Oh, yes, indeed. I knew she'd find me.
But you said your mother was the most beautiful woman in the world.
Well, she is. She is the most beautiful woman in the world.
I guess there's a lesson to be learned here. To me, she is not beautiful, but what I think doesn't matter, does it? To this young lad, his mother is the most beautiful woman in the world.
Well, this is a lesson to be learned, isn't it? What's not so beautiful to some can be very, very beautiful to others. That's a good thing to remember.